Now let's go to Brussels because world powers are gathering there to pledge billions of dollars to Afghanistan. The European Union is hosting the summit to raise money for the war-ravaged country. Now 70% of Afghan's national budget depends on international aid. Most of that is spent on security. The meeting follows a deal between the EU and Afghanistan to take back refugees who haven't qualified for asylum in Europe.
I expect today to collect pledges from around the world at the same level, or similar level to what the international community has mobilized so far. For what concerns the European Union and member states, we will pledge 1.2 billion euros, and I would expect similar levels of engagement from our partners. But this is not only about money, this is also about political support.
OK, let's go live now to our correspondent who's there in Brussels at the summit, Niamh Barker. Niamh.
Yes, well, thank you. We have been following developments over the course of the day. There are a series of roundtable meetings that are going on. We've heard from key players, from Donald Tusk, the President of the European Council, from Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, who urged the international community to band together to support Afghanistan in drumming up as much financial support for the nation in the road ahead as is possible. But of course, it's a two-way street. There are expectations upon Afghanistan that they will introduce much-needed reforms to the country to improve the standard of living there, to improve the economy, the financial position of the country, and to introduce much-needed electoral reforms. Well, one of the key things that was talked about on the first day of the conference on Tuesday was improving the life for Afghan women. And joining me here, we have Samira Hamdi from the Afghan Women's Network, who can tell us a little bit more about the progress that was made. Of course, there's a tremendous amount of pressure, Samira, on Afghanistan and the Afghan government to bring about much-needed reforms, especially when it comes to improving the life of women there and the quality of life of women there. Are you really seeing much progress on the ground, though? Because, of course, you're in regular contact with the Afghan government.
Thank you so much. I think the past 15 years has been tangible for women's empowerment in Afghanistan. When we start from our constitution, it's one of the modern constitutions that talks about equality between men and women. Then we have policies and laws that support women's empowerment. At the same time, when we look at the number of participation, the level of participation, it has improved fairly okay as compared to 2001 and 2002. We have women ministers, we have deputy ministers now, we have women in security sector, though their number is fairly low. But the improvement that has been made in terms of women's life in Afghanistan is not enough, because Afghanistan is not only Kabul in number of few central provinces in the country. We have 34 provinces, and in 34 provinces, women live different lives, different lifestyles. We have cultural barriers, we have social barriers, education and literacy rate is fairly low for women still. Women still lack their very basic rights, their access to health, their access to society even is a big issue in most parts of the country. Women's access to justice is still a big issue. We unfortunately witness severe cases of violence against women every day, and these are the issues that has not been tackled properly in the 15 years. And we really hope that in the coming future years we have a specific allocation of support for women's empowerment in Afghanistan.
And of course the area of corruption, or at least the problem of corruption, is another key area where the Afghan government really needs to work harder. Again, are we seeing much evidence of progress there, or is this pretty much just a case of the Afghan government doing what at least it can to show the international community that it's worthy of this money?
I think after 15 years, Afghan government has no other choice. The pressure that the international community is putting in terms of fighting corruption, bringing reforms, is something that Afghan government has to do it. And I think some of the actions that has been taken in terms of fighting corruption in Afghanistan, in terms of Attorney General's office, in terms of following some of the cases very seriously, having a special unit to oversee the issue of corruption with government officials, for example, which has been a huge issue, is something that the government is right now working on it, and it started a bit time back, not really close to Brussels conference on Afghanistan. So, and they have no choice. They have to really look into this. They have to really prove to the international community that the money you're giving, it won't go on waste again.
Samira Hamdi, thank you so much for that. Well, as you've heard, there are tremendous amounts of pressure on the Afghan government to show that they are honouring earlier policy commitments, to show that they are worthy of international financial support. Back to you.
Neve Barker, live in Brussels. Thank you.